weekends on the Etsy Made Local. So I hope you've had a really good browse at the booths, and I just thought I'd share a little bit about what I'm making at the moment, a bit about what is behind my sort of practice. So please do drop chats in there. I'll go between YouTube and the booth chat and have a look, so please do join in. So what have I been doing today? Well, I've been spending some time chilling with family today, so it's been lovely to see my daughter and husband and my youngest son and his fiance. So we've been spending a bit of time together, which we don't normally get to do. So that's been really good, but I very rarely do go a day without doing any stitching and creating. So I've been finishing off some cards. So I didn't attach the last one, so just wanted to show you a landscape that I've been working on. So the sky of my landscapes are, and the seascapes that I do as well, are Tyvek paper. So Tyvek is a gorgeous sort of spun material, really, and comes in two thicknesses. So this is the thicker thickness. You'll probably be more familiar with the thinner one, which is really flimsy, because that's what the white crime scene investigation suits are made out of. So that's probably quite familiar to you if you watch any sort of crime dramas or anything on TV, and that is actually what they wear. They also wear it in labs and everything. And the great thing about Tyvek, whatever thickness is, nothing passes through. So that's why it's used to protect people from any contamination, but it's also used to protect their environment as well from anything from them as well. So the only thing you can really do to destroy Tyvek is heat it, and there's some interesting things I do like doing with heat with Tyvek, but that's another story. So this Tyvek, I don't heat it, I just paint on it, and it's got, I don't know if you can sort of see the sort of variation of texture, if I put it very close to the camera there. So I use different ones, and this is a fairly summery sky on this one. And then what I do is build up, say from the back, and then I use up lots of scraps of fabric. So they've all got a bit of history, I guess, really in them, and I build up from the distance and then come to the foreground. And if I hold it a bit closer, you'll sort of see that I've added quite a bit of stitch as well, more stitch as we've gone further forward. So some grasses in there, and I do like using variegated thread. In this case, it's one that's got browns and reds and a bit of yellow in it. For my seascapes, I use variegated seascape threads. So blues and greens and white in that one. Looking to I've got bits in there, but I have got this is some fabric. So this is an example of fabric where it's got history. Actually, this is still a little bit of fabric that I've got from my daughter's prom dress, which is now going back about 15 years. So I use some of the tiny scraps of that in my seascapes, as well as this is I don't know if I hold it a bit, can you see the sparkle in that? So that gives an idea of that. So I've got some materials in here for working on seascapes. What's becoming my next thing to be doing some more seascapes on that. So you can see all of these on my Etsy shop. So this landscape is now finished, and it's going to be mounted on a quality ivory card. The seascapes I tend to put on white card because it tends to look better with the seascape. So I'll just check to see if there's any questions. Here's the glasses. and that. So do pop any questions in there. It's gone really big for some reason. Really go into everything. Just excuse me 1 minute. That's any questions yet. Do put me any questions I want to have answered in that. So the other things I thought I'd share with you is my zip top bags. So this is the one, the bright botanical one. So I do use a mixture of fabrics that I see and I do are new fabrics, if you like. And this is the top bit is an example of that, whereas the bottom is some cotton, blue cotton suiting, and that was from a tailor left over from making suits. So I do use, and in my wool landscapes I use quite a lot of wool leftover pieces from a tailor. So this is a blue heavy cotton in the base. So obviously hard wearing fabrics for these bags, and you can see that the way it's sewn at the bottom means that it will just stand up and hold it up flat, and it's got a really wide mouth so that you can easily rummage around in there, see what you've got in there. They're very roomy. So again, like all my creations, everything is unique. So even on the textiles where you've got some that are similar and are the same, if you like, and using the same fabrics together, once I find a good combination that I've auditioned together, each one will be slightly different because they're all handmade. And the bags, there is, again, it wouldn't be necessarily the same combination of the top and the bottom. So an example might be with this one, I bought some of this woodland, I don't know if you can see, I'm showing you that one. That one sounds really good at that. You can see the deer on that, but it's lovely woodland fabric on the front. So, but the bottom, this lovely multicoloured tweed, I only had a small offcut on that, so there was only enough of that for one or maximum two bags. And the same with this one. I've got some more of this red plain fabric on the base, but I only had a small amount of this top tweed, which I actually got in Scotland when I was there last year, and I got this tweed that's actually made on the Isle of Skye and is made using bike power, pedal power. So they have a modified bike that someone gets on and pedals, and then that drives the loom that weaves the woolen cloth that's on the top of that. So they're all just slightly different. So whatever size cloth it is, then you will dictate the exact size of that. But if you are interested and you say went on my Etsy shop, then the description does have the measurements of each of the bags in there, so you will know what size you are getting. So, but that's why they do vary a little bit, is because I'm using fabric that I guess otherwise would be a bit orphaned, and then that's dictating the size. So just let me check again. Questions? Just 1 minute. Okay. There. So please say hello if you're around. So, I am sat on my patchwork chair here, so I'll just show you that. So I've got a throw over this chair. This morning it was so cold that I actually had this round me to meet with some family outside. So it's I usually try and make things that are going to be useful, not just nice to look at. But this was made over a long time, and you will probably be familiar with the header of my Etsy shop, and my YouTube channel has got this hexagon design on, and I actually scanned in some of the fabrics that I've used for making this in order to create the design to make those headers. So that's where it comes from. I did spend many a year making this Granny's Garden design, traditional handpiece quilt top. So I'm not going to go on too long because we're all ready for the break and things like that, but just thought I'd show you some of my brooch cards. So these are again all slightly different. So, for example, I have got two that are probably the most similar that I've done there, and they both do have the greeting that says especially for you on the front. They're all blank inside. Most of them haven't got a greeting on the front either, so they're totally able to be used for anything. But you'll see if you look at those, although they are pretty similar, that they are still unique, and they're not exactly the same. So even though I've used the same sort of balls in there and the same sort of beads in the middle, and also they both do it. If I put it really close, actually, what I'll do is I'll take this one out of its pillow bag, so you can't really see. When it goes really close, you get the reflection. I have got artificial light on it. I'll put it then close up there. You can probably see that's got some machine stitching in it round here. So that's in a variegated thread as well. I really do love my variegated threads. So they're dry needle felted, and they start off as wool tops, and I twist and put them round to create the design, and then I make sure I've got a little bit of a solid background there, and I put them onto a safety brooch back. So it's one of those ones you can turn to lock so that it can't come undone when you're wearing it. And the great thing about these brooches is because they are wool, if you left them on your garment and put them into the wash, then they would still be okay. So it might felt slightly more if you did do it on a hot wash, but it would still be fine and stay together. So that's an example of a card. So the inside, this one's a blue, some of them are purple, so and white, but you can just see the back of the brooch there, and the idea is that you can send the greeting card, and then the recipient can take the brooch off, and it's a gift as well as a card. So I will just mention that with all of my cards, and in fact any of my products, if you'd like me to send them to someone that you are giving them to directly, rather than send them to you and then you send them on to them, then I'm very happy to do that. And if you give me the greeting that you'd like to put in there, I can write that in your card, or the same if it's not a card, if it's for example, if it was one of those zip top bags, I could do a little gift card and write your message on, and then send it directly to them. So obviously that saves postage for you, but it also saves time as well. So I do dispatch in 1 or 2 business days, and I can save you time if you're sending to someone else, and I'm very happy to do that as a complimentary service with any of my products. So do get in touch if you would like me to do that. So that's an example of on blue, and then this one is on purple card. Again, I'll take that out because you can't really see very well the colour. It's on purple card. It looks quite blue there. And you can see that the envelope in that case is a lilac. The artificial light's slightly altering the colour on there. So it is but I think the pictures in my shop are truer to the colour. So I make sure that I take those in daylight and check the colour. Obviously colour always varies a little tiny bit, but do that. But that one there, you can see that's different again in terms of the wall, but that one has pearl beads on. They're not real pearls, obviously, at the price that these are, but they are nice, nice pearls on there, and some other smaller beads as well. So again, all unique. That one's an example where it doesn't have any greeting on the front either, so it's suitable. So these cards, I really think they're great for those times where you think, well, I want to give someone a special gift. It might be as a get well gift or a thank you gift, but I don't want to get into the idea of always feeling like I've got to give them a present. So if I give them a card that's got a little gift on, then it's doing that without necessarily, I think, setting a precedent of always feeling you've got to give them a present. So they work really well with that. And I did get the feedback on one of these, that someone bought one from me and gave it to someone, and that person got back to them and said, oh, it was the most beautiful card and gift I have ever received. And it was so lovely that they passed that feedback on to me, because often you don't get to hear what, down the line even further when it's being given away. You don't always get that feedback, so it was really lovely to hear that they've been so pleased with that. So any feedback is very welcome. So even if it's, well, I think that it would be better if you did whatever, so then that is still also welcome feedback and really useful for working out the way forward. So I had intended to give you a little sneak peek. I promise not to talk to people that I know a lot, then I will just show you what I started working on today. I realised I've left it in the next room one moment. So I just started pinning these together this afternoon, and that's sat in the sun. So it's a lovely Rose and Hubble fabric, and I do actually use quite a few of their fabrics when I'm using them. Some of my fabric weights use Rose and Hubble ones. The ones that have got the scissors on that come in two colourways, a grey and an ivory, they're Rose and Hubble. And this one is another example of a Rose and Hubble fabric that I like. And on the back there's some batting, which is what we put in quilted things. So I don't know whether you can hear it sort of rustles. I don't think as well you'd probably see if I the light. You might go like that. I don't you can sort of see. It's actually got some metal included in it, so it's called Insulbrite, and it's a heat insulating batting. So it's really useful for things like oven gloves. I use that in the pot holder pads. So I've got one of each of 5 designs that I've made up in pot holders with some sun printed fabric, and that's in those as well as a heat insulation. but these are not going to be heat packed. So I'd just be interested to know, I'm not going to tell you actually just right now, be interested to know what you thought that this was going to be. It's 11 inches square, and I'd just be quite interested if you could guess what I am starting to make. So I'm not going to tell you here for two reasons, just in case someone who is going to get given one of these later in the year is watching, but also because it's I may well launch them as well. If they work out well, might launch them as a product, and I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So, but I would love to know if you can guess what I think I'm going to be making with them. So just check in the comments, see if any of you have been quick off the mark and made a guess. And we'll just refresh and go to see if there's anything there. There hasn't been anything here. Choose something. I don't think so. I can't see any, so sorry if you have left a comment and I'm just not seeing it. So because this is pretty new to me, the going live, so lots of things at this time being pushed out of our boundaries, which can be a really good thing. That can be a bit scary at the time, but can also be a really good thing as well. So I'd be interested to know what you feel are the good things that are coming out of this. I actually feel that although it's perhaps harder to chat with people when you're that little bit more distanced away and it's a virtual situation, but the great thing is that we're sort of sat in the comfort of our own homes, and we can still be in communication, can still shop, you can still meet makers like myself, and can get to interact with us as well. So please do get in touch with me. I'd love to know what you are making at the moment, and as I say, also what you feel is sort of the good things that are perhaps coming out of this strange and difficult, but in some ways interesting situation that we're in. Also, perhaps what you started to buy online that you previously wouldn't have done. You've done to do that. So also the difference as well with small indie business makers like myself is that if there are products that you think of that you would think would be really useful, so it might be something, for example, that you might like to make yourself, but then think, oh, actually I don't think I've got the time, or I've got the skill set to do, or the patience, or whatever, then actually we would be really interested to know what you would like to see. So sometimes examples of that I've seen have been perhaps vintage products that used to be around and now you can't get anymore, but actually were a good idea and would be really great to still be able to get hold of. So that can be an example of that. And also another example might be if you want something making that's to go with your decor. So, for example, at the moment, one of the other things I've got to try my sewing machine is it's the cut-offs from some curtains I've taken up with someone, or cut the curtains, bought new curtains and made them the right length for them, and now I'm making some cushion covers with the leftover material for their new sitting room that I've been having done. So that's another example where makers are, it's really great to get in touch with. I recently saw a photograph on online of a new baby and their grandmother, and I recognised the seat, the alcove seat that they were sitting in, because it's actually one I'd upholstered for the person who's posting. So it's always really nice to see things in their forever home like that as well. So also, if you have bought anything, then I'd love to see how you use it. So an example, one of the most popular products at the moment, it always sort of goes in varies, but one of the most popular orders I have at the moment is for my pyramid fabric weights. So they come in sets of 6. I really like using them instead of pins. So if I'm laying something out, then you can put the fabric weights on top of your fabric, and instead of having to use pins to hold them in place while you cut out. And it's easier to move around. I often use a rotary cutter, for example, when I'm cutting fabric out rather than fabric scissors. Sometimes I use scissors as well. So that's what I use the fabric weights for, and that's what started me thinking, well, I find them really useful, so I'll make them for other people. And that's, at the moment, that's my most popular order. And I've got one that I need to package up for post up tomorrow is some fabric weights. But I think not everybody uses them as fabric weights. They're also useful for paper weights. They can be used as pincushions. I guess that some people use them to perhaps juggle with. So I would just love to see any of the products that you buy from me in their forever homes, because it is that's always lovely to see as well and to know, because you post them off and you have to let go of your creation. So it's nice to see how they're being used. So I'm going to draw to a close now, and everyone, hope you have a really great Sunday evening. And don't forget, do drop me a message. Let me know what you think I'm going to be using this fabric for. You can easily find me on YouTube, Helen Moyes, but in most of the places I'm Helen Moyes Design. So Instagram, I'm Helen Moyes Design. On Etsy, I'm Helen Moyes Designs. On Facebook, I'm Helen Moyes, Textile Mixed Media Artist. So you can easily find me and use any of those channels to message me and get in touch with me. So thank you for joining me for this half an hour of Meet the Maker, and please do get in touch. Bye bye now.